Hi guys, it's Aegis here. So today I'm here with another deck profile. This time we'll be covering the era, Overdress era, and it will be one of the Lyrical Monasterio new joiners, which is MiMish Fortia. So Fortia introduces a new keyword with friends, which is kind of similar to like things like I think it's Harmony in G era with Bermuda, where we have a unit that is behind or in front, and then both of them get into some kind of states, and this time uh, both of them shake hands and become friends. So uh, being friend itself is not something very special. It's just a keyword that this is a state, but after you're getting into friends and you're getting a lot of friends, things will be different and a lot of abilities will be unlocked, including uh, Fortier herself. So without further ado, let's go into the deck profile first. Right line is basically all our MiMish friend package, which we don't need to explain too much, I think, but we'll briefly go over it. Starter, we just draw cards with Grid 1. You also can be friends because it's a Vanguard and Riga skill, and then if you write the grade 2 Mimish on top of the grade 1, then you can call the grade 1 down. So because the grade 1 also help you to make friends, so this also helps you to increase the chances you get enough friends to do your abilities, or at least being able to activate your friend's ability, because you don't always have the cards in hand. Of course you put a lot, but that doesn't mean you always have to get it. So here we are, another card that will help out, and then we will go into the grade 2, which is Rikashina, which her skill as a Vanguard skill is if you do have other friends, and then when you ride your Fortia, you don't need to discard a card. So basically this right line helps you up the whole thing. So when you go from 1, nothing too fancy happen, go to 2, you put a 1 down there and then become friends, and then now because you do have other friends, then you can just write your Fortia. Basically that's how it works, I think. This, after you get into Fortia, that is something that is really going to help you turn the game around with her ability. First, of course, she also helping you to make friends just in case if she is gone, you can still group with another unit to become friends. And then her other skill, which is a Vanguard skill once per turn, when this unit attack battle ends, if you do have 5 other friends, then counterblast 1 and discard 1 card, send this unit get plus 5k minus 1 drive. So you get to do multiple punches, but you do need to be very careful in your counterblast usage, because I see some matches online that they get to use the first time and then they just get counterblast lock, damage denied, and they just stood there and can't do a lot of things. And with this deck, if you heard me talking about friends enough, you also know the weakness of the deck is if you don't get enough friends, you're in trouble. And for 40s skill, you do need to have 5. So that means you need to have a full board. Missing one, you're not going to get the effects off. That is the key. So, and this is one thing that I think everyone should keep in mind when playing this deck. Of course, spamming the board and pushing early is great, but you do need to look at your hand, look at your opponent's clan, nations, on what they are playing, what they're good at, to actually plan how you play your regards. Because sometimes you rather don't have enough regards, so that you can still like save for the bigger wave, because you don't have a good hand, you rather save it for next, or when you see a good chance, then you need to spam the board. You need to make sure you do have enough pieces to do so. If not, you are still in trouble, right? And another good thing with Fortia is because she stands herself, not like the other side, which playing the power bit that stands regards, you can actually apply a little bit more pressure because you do get a drive check, even just one more. But overall, I think it's still a very good support or a new joiner that still not being too weak, while still kind of accessible, affordable for people who wants to join in the game or just want to feel how Lyrical plays. And I think this is also a good entry point. But of course, the other side is a lot cheaper because you don't have that much high rarities stuff. In this deck, you do need to use 2 triple rares, so the cost will be a little bit higher. But I think it's still kind of affordable for people to join the game, and you don't need to find too much cards because the deck content that you're going to see of my build is basically all new cards plus 4 PGs plus 1 overtrigger. So what you need to find from previous sets is only 4 PGs and 1 overtrigger. Of course, they do have a little bit of difficulties to find because every single deck need 4 PGs, and PGs is a rare. So you might have a hard time to find a PG, but this happens to basically every nation. So I am trying to like lower down the difficulties of making the deck while still trying to see what we can actually have the most fun with this deck with what we have in the content. Right, so this is the right deck, and let's go into the main deck. Firstly, of course, person right, 3 more Fortia. That's basically her uses. Of course, you can still put her on the side to have you make more friends, but usually you will keep her in hand to personal right, or even just have to do it for PG calls or anything. But usually not a card that you put on the field. Next, we have a Motivation, a Plenty, a Letty. So she's another card with the friend keyword, and when the attack battle ends as a regard, if you have 3 or more other friends, you can soul blast 1 and put this card back to your hand. Now, this will kind of limits how you do your sequence, of course, because if you bounce her, meaning you don't have enough friends for your 48 to use the skill, but this gives you your 48 to actually go for 2 times first and put power here, and then when every ring is done, she bounces back to your hand. And what is good about bouncing back to your hand for a few things? One, if you are facing a deck that is good at attacking the whole front row, good at removing units away, bind them, retire them, anything, at least you get to escape first. And having an extra card in your hand sometimes is what you need for a PG cost or anything that requires you to guard more than 1 card in your hand, then they become handy. So this is something that good to have, but you do need to look at the soul because we don't have soul charge cards to actually makes it spammable, but usually you won't spam the skill anyway. Yeah, so that's basically it. And then 2 of the Deter Together Elfie. I don't see a lot of people using this card. Some people does, some people don't. But I personally like this card a lot in this deck. Her skill is front row regard circle. All other units that is not with the same name as this card won't be selected by opponent's card effect. So you do have some kind of a protection on those, and say if you need to go through anyone, go through LV first. And the second skill is when this card attacks hits the Vanguard as a regard, you can counter charge 1. Because you can see our Fortia actually use counter blast, and you do need and you want to, not only need to, use the counter blast every single turn. And what if your opponent's really going to damage deny you, at least you have a chance to apply pressure to say, if you don't block it, my Fortia is going to be more scary, and then they guard for it, and then when your Vanguard going hit, hit them hard with chain drive, at least you still have a higher chance to get the attack to go through. So she is trying to be annoying here for to your opponents, not to you. And she's a 30k body, so it's not that easy to like attack over unless they are all grade 3s and such. So it's okay to be in this deck. I like the protection, I like the counter charge, and that's why I'm running too. Okay, next is another card with the friend keyword, which is a Hopping Stellar Melty. So she is our second triple rare, and this is the reason basically why this deck is a little bit higher in cost, because you need to use Fortia and her and Melty. So friend, I don't explain too much again because it's basically just what I said before. And her second skill is when this unit appears on your bigger circle during your main phase, you can counterblast 1. So you can see here's another using your counterblast. By doing so, you can from your hand calling a card that is with grade lower or equal to your Vanguard and call it to regular circle. If you call, you draw it back. So this card helps you to somehow build you back the board without costing you a lot, because a lot of cards is telling you, okay, it appears, call something from your hand to the field, and that's it. But she allows you to draw one card back. So this is very important, allowing you even to call a card that is not really helpful, and then you still get to draw another card back. And she herself has the friend keyword, so you can just call a trigger behind her, and then both become friends. So you have 2 friends there, and then you get to draw a card. Maybe that can help you out to form another friends relationship, to activate the keyword, helping you to build the board a lot faster. But she herself doesn't have any power up, so you do need to be aware on that. And then 4 of the Cheshire Smile, Larissa. Not too sure how to pronounce that. I'm sorry, but yeah. So Larissa. So her skill also have friends. So we do have a lot of cards that helping you to form all 6 friends, which is very nice and important. And then her second skill is when this unit attacks, if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or higher, and for each other friend you have, this unit get plus 2k for the battle. So not like Melty, she is a beater, and if you have a full board, she basically plus 10k. That's basically it. But helping you to reach a good number, or at least something that baiting more than a 5k shield, or hitting a regard baiting a 15k shield, something like that. And then depending on how your back row is, then they can also change the guarding number, and it's sometimes important for you to win. Right. Next is not a friend card, but it's kind of support, which is Sound in the Wind, the Kea. Yeah. So she is, to me, I think it's also quite important, because it's a once per turn. If you do have a unit with the friend's ability appearing on the same column as this card, and when you at the same time have 3 or more friends, you can counterblast 1 and draw 1 card. So again, this is yet another counterblast usage. So that's why I still think LV is quite important right here to help us reduce the pressure from high counterblast usage, and you have to draw a card. So what you need to find is just getting enough friends, have her already there, maybe just behind your just not behind your Vanguard, of course, because it need to be the same column, and then call another unit, both become friends, and then you have another 2 friends, then you can counterblast 1, draw a card, and maybe that can bring you another card with Melty, by counterblasting another one to call another one to keep like building your board back in a faster pace. But I will keep repeating myself. Do make sure you look at your counterblast cost and don't rely on Elfie, even though she is the reason why we are using her for the counter charge, but she needs to hit. So you always need to try to save one counterblast per port here. That's the plan. Okay. And then I think it's the last card that we need some explanation, which is Earnest Look, Iveta. So she is another card with the friend keyword, and if you do have other friends, this unit get plus 2k. So which is easy. You just call someone in front of her, and she becomes a 10k boost. Just that easy. And from what we can see here, is basically what you will play on the board, and you can see I have only one back row of friends, and then 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 types of front row friends. So because we don't need to have both units with the friend skill to actually become friends, so I think this ratio is still acceptable and good to go. Some people might actually run more of the MiMish grade 1 for having some back row friends in case all your front row friends are gone, but if you ask me, I don't think this deck is actually aiming for like a very long time game, because you try to draw a lot of cards, you use a lot of counterblasts, you will run out eventually, and you just try to make your board very fast. So yeah, so far just using her, Iveta, as the grade 1 back row friend keyword support is good enough for me. But if you really want to use the grade 1, feel free to do so. And then 4 PGs, just because they are PGs, and then going to triggers, which is over trigger, because we just have this over trigger or the generic one, but I prefer this with the whole board power up that I think is still key to this deck. As long as you activate the extra effect from your over trigger, this deck can be very scary. And then 4 of the 10k shield draw, because we do have it as a neo support, which is good to have. And then the soul in crits, another 4 crits, and 4 heals. So you can see that even the trigger lineups, except the over trigger, is everything that you can find in our Lyrical Booster Set 2. So you just need to find yourself like a playset or something with this theme, and making sure you do have some side cards, because she probably don't count as one of the support for Fortia, so you might need to ask for it. But the rest I think is all there, and then what you need to find is 4 PGs, 1 over trigger. Yeah. So the game plan is again very simple. You try to form your friends at the right timing, depending on how your hand is. You do it fast, you take a turn to wait so that you don't waste all your friends, and then as long as you're in the right timing, you just go for Fortia and swing and do 4 attacks every single turn. That's all you need to plan for. And what good about Fortia in the meta is that she doesn't require your opponents to be grade 3 in order to withstand. You just need to have a full board with friends, of course. So if you are going first, you might be able to just win by riding Fortia and swing for 2 times. There is a chance, which is also one reason I am picking up this deck. Not only because she's something new, so I want to test her out, but I do like Restanding Vanguards, and I think the threats from Restanding Vanguard is always very high, even though we do have overtriggers to actually block everything unless they overtrigger. But who knows? you can block once, you can block twice. And if you really do look at your resources carefully, I don't think you will have a problem with using this deck and facing opponents. Yeah, so that's basically the deck profile. Always feel free to ask me any questions in the comments down below, and feel free to discuss. Subscribe to my channel, like this video, and I will see you guys in the next video. Signing off.